Hello, 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 and welcome, welcome, welcome to another story time brought to you by ABC Read and ABC Learn, in which we are here to help you develop and nurture that love of reading in every child as well as every adult. How are you all doing out there today, evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are around the globe? I hope that you all are doing spectacular. And I hope that you all have read or you're planning to read for at least 30 minutes. All right, all right, all right. Well, let's get started. Before I share this awesome book that I just received in the mail yesterday, I'm so excited about. I want to share with you guys. Uh, One of the things that you can do when you're choosing books for children that you want to read aloud to them is that make sure that you are choosing books that have characters that represent them. And in specifically, who I am referring to is our African American and Hispanic children, because that segment, the population of children who are African American as well as Hispanic, statistics have shown that 16 to 17% of children who are in the fourth grade who are African American and Hispanic are reading proficiently. Okay, 16 to 17%. All right. And so when you hear those statistics, that should be startling. Okay, that should be something you should look at and say, that's terrible. All right. And so one of the reasons why that is, though, is because there are a lot of books out here that do not have a lot of children who are where the characters are African American or Hispanic. And these are things that are going to help our children get more involved into reading. When they open up those books and they see those characters that look like them and they can relate to those characters, right? They see that a lot of the different things that they're talking about, they're like, oh, I can relate to that, right? Because that's what I do in my culture, in my family. Then it's going to make them want to read even more. All right. All right, y'all. So let's get started, y'all. Bam, look at this awesome book. I am like so excited about this book. We just got this book in the mail. And this is one of the books that we're going to be donating to one of a couple of masjids, a couple of mosques. This is a place where Muslims go to pray. We're going to donate these books there, all right? And these are just some of the books that we have gotten, well, one of the many books actually that we've gotten through the crowdfunding that we were able to have, in which people donated to our organization, ABC Read, in which we give books to different community centers, different children who are in need, so that our children can definitely see books like these, where you have this beautiful brown girl here on the cover. And let's read this title together, shall we? Fatima Makes the Bread. And the author, her name is Adeola Little. All right. And so, again, like I said, you see the cover of this book, this beautiful girl, and the title, self-explanatory, right? Fatima makes the bread. Wow, you see this little girl and she is making bread. Have you all ever had homemade bread before? I've had some before and it was awesome. Because typically, for the most part, we usually go and buy our bread from the store. I don't know about you, but for the most part, that's what I'm around. People usually go buy their bread. I'm usually not around people who actually make bread all the time. So that is just like awesome in itself right there, right? Well, let's find out about Fatima Makes the Bread. And right here, you see this awesome dedication. I was like so blown away when I saw that. I thought the author was just so awesome to dedicate this book to her parents and then have a picture of her parents there. You usually don't typically see that a lot of times in dedication. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I thought it was just so beautiful. All right. Every day, Fatima would help her mother make the bread for their family. One day, Fatima's mother got sick and she was very tired. As she lay in bed, she called out for her only daughter, Fatima. Oh, Fatima, Mommy is not feeling good today. Since Mommy is sick, do you think you can make the bread all by yourself so I can rest? Yes, Mommy, inshallah. Fatima looked down. She wanted to let her mother get some rest, but she had never made the bread all by herself. What if it didn't turn out good and all her brothers laughed at her? Fatima felt butterflies in her stomach. Help! Subhanallah. Fatima left her mother's room and entered the courtyard where the family did its cooking. She made a quick dua. Oh Allah, please help me to make this bread good for my family. Ameen. Fatima measured out 6 cups of flour with the conch shell they used as a measuring cup. She counted out 16 cups of water and she began to stir. She was happy because so far everything was coming out just fine. My mother is going to be so happy, she thought. Then all of a sudden, a tiny desert lizard jumped into the cooking pot. I guess I will have to pour this out and start all over again. Mashallah, she said. So again, Fatima began measuring the flour and water. Alhamdulillah, this is coming out great, just like when Mommy does it with me, she said to herself. Just then, she heard the beautiful song of a hoopoe bird. She looked up and saw perched on a branch directly overhead the most beautiful bird she had ever seen. Subhanallah. All of a sudden, Fatima saw something fall from the tree branch where the bird was sitting. When she looked in the pot, she saw a white and black splat right in the middle of her dough. That beautiful bird had pooped in her dough. Hey! She screamed. Just as she was about to get mad, she remembered her mother told her anger came from Shaitan. So she sat back down and said, A'udhu billahi mina shaitanir rajim. I will just have to try again, she thought. After she thoroughly cleaned the pot, young Fatima went back in the sack to get more flour. There were only 2 cups of flour left. This is nowhere near enough for my big family, she thought. She thought about waking her mother up and telling her what happened. Then she realized how her mother had trusted her to do this on her own. So she decided to go to the store to get more flour. Fatima sat under a baobab tree and tried to devise a plan for getting to the store. She was only 7, and the store was 2 kilometers away. It's not that she couldn't walk that far, but it was along a busy road, and her mother had warned her never to go on this road alone. She thought and she thought about what to do. She thought about asking her grandmother to take her. Although her grandmother was 60, she usually went to the market every week. She carried pounds of rice, flour, and cooking oil on her head. If I ask Granny, she might think it's silly that my mother asked me to make the bread all by myself. She might even wake my mother up and complain to her, she said, thinking out loud. Her other idea was to ask her older brother Yusuf if he could take her. Normally he wouldn't mind, but today he was in Quran class preparing for a big competition in Egypt. It was very important to us, not only because it was the book of Allah, but because he would be representing Mali at the competition. She knocked on the door and was surprised to find Yusuf alone. Assalamu alaikum, Yusuf. I thought you had your Quran class right now. Wa alaikum salam, Fatu. I did, but we finished early today. MashaAllah. Oh, yay! Can you do me a favor? Mama is sick and she asked me to make the bread for her. I made the dough twice already. The first time I made it, a lizard jumped in and I couldn't find it. So I had to dump the whole thing out. Then the second time I made it, a bird pooped in it. And now I don't have enough flour left. So please take me to the store so I can buy more flour and make the bread for Mama before she wakes up. Yusuf smiled. You are a special girl, Fatu. I can't believe you are only 7 years old. Okay, yes, I will go with you. As they walked to the market, Yusuf practiced Quran the whole way there. He had the most beautiful recitation in all of Africa and maybe the whole world. We held hands as we walked down the dusty road. I looked at people carrying wood and selling coconut, bananas, and watermelons. I smelled the scent of freshly cooked cassavas being carried on a woman's head. I heard the sound of tied up donkeys braying for water. I took in the sights, sounds, and smells and felt so at home. Yusuf, do you love Mali? Of course, Fatu. Why do you say that? Because I always hear the men at the tea place talking about how they want to go to America or Saudi Arabia to work. That is them. As for me, Fatu, your brother Yusuf will never leave Mali. You swear? Wallahi. Finally, we arrived at the store. I sat outside and played in the dust with some of the children, while Yusuf went in and bought the flour. He came out and presented me with an ice cold Fanta, my favorite drink. Yay! Yusuf, thank you. Alhamdulillah, let's share it. Okay, Fatu, he said. It's almost Asr though. We need to hurry. Let's catch a donkey cart back instead of walking. Yusuf flagged down a young man driving a donkey cart. Are you going past Burr? He asked. Yes, get on. We got on the cart and I enjoyed the bumpy ride home. As soon as I got home, I measured out the flour and water and quickly mixed the dough. Then I carefully rolled all of the dough into large circles. And with Yusuf's help, I put them into our big fire oven. One by one, the white puffed up circle breads came out of the oven and collapsed when they hit the cool evening air. We loaded them onto trays and brought them into the main courtyard, just as my granny was arriving with the beef stew. My mother came out of her room looking much better. Then my father entered the courtyard, followed by my younger brothers, then my uncle and his wife and children. We all sat down together and began to eat. We all said Bismillah. Fatima, the bread is delicious, whispered Mama. Thank you, Mommy. Are you feeling better? Fatima said. What's wrong, Isata? My father asked. Well, I thought I was sick this morning, and I've been resting all day. Alhamdulillah, I'm not sick. I'm pregnant. We will be having another baby in the family, inshallah. Allahu Akbar, everyone said, smiling. I went over and gave my mother a big hug. Mommy, I love you. I love you too, Fatima, said my mother as she smiled, a smile as beautiful as the Mali sunset. The end. And right here, I love how the author put a vocabulary page. And right here, she has a picture. This is a photo from of a girl from Mali who inspired the visual for the main character, which I love how she did that. And also, here is the picture of the author right here. Beautiful Adeola Madison. Okay, and I'm just going to read a little bit of her bio right here. She is 28 years old and she is a Muslim convert. She graduated from Spelman College with a degree in psychology. She lives in the Washington, D.C. area with her husband and 3 children. She loves to write stories that teach many lessons. Awesome. And I hope that you all thought that this book was awesome as well. And I just wanted to share with you guys really quickly one of the things that I really loved about how Mrs. Adeola Little talked about in the story is that showing that love between family members, showing that respect that Fatima had for her mother, and how even the older brother, how he was willing to help his sister. Because I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes, we're used to seeing in different books, as well as even on television shows, you'll see the interactions between siblings. And a lot of times we are used to seeing, that older sibling not wanting to be bothered with that younger sibling, and they're like, oh my goodness, get out of my face. I don't feel like, playing with you. Why are you asking me to help and all? And I was so, I felt it was very refreshing. And I was so glad to read the story. And I can really feel the warmth and the love from this story. Like I said, from how Fatima was with her mother and how what was so interesting, I love how when she said that she didn't want to ask the grandmother because she knew, especially as grandparents would do, you know, would be concerned like, hey, I don't want my grandbaby trying to make that bread all by herself. Why my daughter trying to get her to do that, right? And how Fatima thought about that. She was a very in tune, insightful girl. And even with her older brother Yusuf, even how he even recognized and said, it's just hard to believe that you are 7 years old. But there are young children like that in the world who are just that thoughtful, that in tune, that mature. And how she was just problem solving all the way through, right? She thought about it. She said, wait a minute, how can I get to the store? Well, let me try this and let me think about that. And then she came up with a great idea. And also, another point is how when she asked Allah, Allah is Arabic for one God, and how she really had a lot of faith being a young girl. And she said she wanted to ask Allah, how can she go about making, getting this bread together? How could she go about getting it made, right? And so It was just so awesome. You know, like I said, this book was just very warm, very inviting, very loving, and I definitely highly, highly recommend that you get this book for your family. All right. And I just wanted to say that to you guys. And I hope again that you guys like, subscribe, and share our videos. All right. So you all take care. And please, please remember to keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. Happy reading, family.